This is a dedication to John D. Woods III, my nephew. I watched you from a baby grow up into a man. Steak Fajita Crunch Wrap using skirt steak, semi-sweet peppers, white onion, and a mix of cheese between cheddar, Monterey Jack, and queso. First thing to do is the prep work. The prep meaning cut down the onions and the peppers. So here I'm cutting off the tops of the peppers, slicing them through, removing the rind and the seeds. A little bit of seeds if you want is fine, I just don't prefer it. And instead of making you watch me do all of this slow prep work, we're gonna time lapse it at speed of light. And I've seen a lot of people online making crunch wraps out of just ground beef. And I thought, why not use steak? Technically, ground beef is nothing more than ground steak, but you're allowed to choose what type of steak, which can change the flavor of the crunch wrap. Because essentially, crunch wrap is a flour tortilla with a crunchy tortilla in the middle. And here I'm finishing off the prep work when it comes to the onions and the peppers. So let's get to the steak, which is skirt steak. I love skirt steak. It's a nice piece of meat. It can be really tender, but a lot of places will leave a lot of fat. So the first thing to do is cut down a lot of the excess fat. Here I'm not going to show you, but I took time, rolled it up into a nice little ball, put it in the freezer till it hit around 40 degrees. The 40 degrees allow it to be a lot more firm when I'm cutting it down. So I'm able to get very thin slices very easily, even through the fat. Then from there, of course, cut it down into as nice, small, tiny, bite-sized pieces, as you can see in the fast-forwarding video. Once that's done, give it a little bit of your fajita seasoning, which of course is salt, pepper, a little bit of fajita seasoning, a little bit of steak seasoning, and accent. With a small amount of oil and over medium heat. Once the pan is hot, I place in my steak, and unlike tradition, I tend to continuously move the steak, preventing it from burning on one side or cooking too much on one side, not the other, as well as sticking together. So for me, it's constantly keep it moving, pulling it apart, keeping it going for a couple of minutes, because honestly, it only takes about 3 to 4 minutes per side at the most. And once you got it cooked down nicely, then we go to the next step, which is toss in your peppers. Peppers will release a light sweetness to the mix, as well as the white onion, which is a clash from sweet onion. And here I'm not looking to completely cook the peppers, just give them a little bit of color, a little bit of melding with the steak and the seasonings. Once I know they have a little color, then we start to the next part, which is adding your water, the remaining amount of your seasonings, which is fajita, etc., and then bring it up to a boil. The boil is going to allow you to reduce down the liquids as well as meld even better when it comes to flavor. It's the only way to say it. So from here, I have it on medium high. Put a lid on it, cover it up, give it about 10 minutes. Come back, you'll see that it's bubbling, it's reducing. Take the lid off and begin stirring. Allow the moisture to leave, but leave the flavor. That's the only way I can say it. And as you can see here, as I'm about to remove it, you got beautiful chunks of steak and peppers everywhere. The steak is so tender you can pull it apart with a fingertip. And all the juices, if you take a good look, you can see it has thickened up like molasses. And this is prep work on the lettuce. I should have done it at the beginning, but it's not important. I'm not going to make you watch me cut through lettuce, so it's time-lapsed. And here I found 18-inch flour tortillas. Not easy. I'm sure you can find them. I start with the cheese. And if anybody who knows me knows, I'm not going to use just a little bit of cheese. I'm going to use a lot of cheese because it helps to make the whole thing work. And with that, anybody who knows me, I'm not going to use a little bit of steak. I'm going to use a lot of steak. Come on, let's be honest. It's steak. So as you can see, I get a nice layer. I put the cheese first, so any liquids that are coming off the steak, it'll go up into the cheese. This helping handful of cheese I didn't need to put on there, but it's me. I know. And once you got the right amount of cheese you prefer, I forgot to show this earlier. I took 2 corn tortillas, put them in the oven for 3 to 4 minutes at about 300 degrees. And here's where I'm dumb enough to put my fingers and press it down on something that's just out the oven hot. Yeah, I'm dumb enough to come right back over afterwards and do it again, thinking that I'm Superman. After this, I put on the sour cream, and of course it's me. But I just coated the corn tortilla with sour cream. Once that's done, comes your lettuce. And it's up to you how much you want to do when it comes to proportions of all of this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to put 0.2 ounces or 0.6 ounces or whatever. Your good old-fashioned salsa. Yes, I could have made the salsa. Yes, I could have made everything in here from scratch. I could have made a cow by, buying a cow, feeding it for years, and then slaughtering it. And then it's all homemade, but it's better just to buy it sometimes. And more cheese. Oh dear God, I put so much cheese. And I'm not gonna lie, this is my first time ever folding a flour tortilla like this. So I made a little bit of mistakes, but in the end, it still works so beautifully. Back into the frying pan, just a hint of oil. Even if you have a little bit of oil left over from before, perfect. Start with the the open side, flip, special effects, beautiful golden brown. Repeat the process on the bottom. The cheese melts, holds everything together. You have to try it to see what I mean when it comes to the flavors. And like every other video, you get to see the fat boy eating his creation. Golden brown. It's impossible to get golden brown on the sides, but I'm gonna work that one out in my head. You got the crunch wrap in the middle. You got steak and salsa and way more cheese than the human law should allow. And of course, like every video, you get to watch the fat boy eat a chunk of his creation. But you see in the next one, it has cheese. The steak is literally pull apart easy, tender, juicy. It's a beautiful mix, but it's not ground beef. Ground beef is just 2-dimensional versus 3-dimensional. And this one is dedicated to my nephew, John D. Woods III. This one is for you. I'm gonna miss you.